we weren't able to make that work on my side, but we'll proceed on here anyway. Hopefully you are seeing in front of you right now our opening slide. So it should be saying the 2018 Expert Webinar Series. If you're not seeing that, go ahead and let us know in the questions tab, but hopefully that's open in front of you. Our topic today is don't just be an advisor, be relevant. And this is a presentation that's been put together by AccountantsWorld co-founder and CEO, Dr. Chandra Bhansali. Unfortunately, Chandra has lost his voice a little bit today, and he wanted to make sure that you'd be able to hear clearly all the ideas that he has in this presentation. So he's asked me to step in and present this today on his behalf. I wanted to reassure you these are his thoughts and his words. So I'm just the spokesperson here today, but I worked on this presentation with Chandra and hope that I can deliver it as well as he's able to. So thank you for bearing with us with that change there. Also joining us today will be David Monell, who's the Director of Product Development at AccountantsWorld, and he'll be stepping in shortly with a practical demonstration of some of the things that we'll be covering today. All right, Sharon, let's go to slide 2. And actually, Sharon, you may not have these ones on yours, but I'll go ahead and just thank everybody for joining us today. As I mentioned, my name is Div Bhansali. I'm the Vice President at AccountantsWorld. And I want to thank you for joining us for the introductory session of the Expert Webinar Series. A couple of tips for using the GoToWebinar control panel. You, as I mentioned before, can select your audio option from the audio tab. If you select phone, it'll give you a dial-in number and access code to be able to listen in there. And if you haven't downloaded the handouts, you can do so under the handouts tab. You'll see a PDF in there. If you try to download it and it doesn't work right away, just give it a couple of minutes and try again. Often with a number of people trying to download at the same time, it can get a little bit backed up, but it will usually work after that. If for some reason you're not able to download it during our presentation, you can just email us afterwards and we'll be happy to send you a copy at the end. If you have any questions during the presentation, use the questions tab to go ahead and type that in. Feel free to send them anytime throughout the presentation. I'll answer a couple of them during the presentation if they come in, and I'll be happy to answer any others at the end of the presentation as well. Also wanted to mention, if you are a Twitter user, we are using the hashtag #ExpertWebinar, capital E, capital W, Expert Webinar. So if you have any insights as you're going through this, any comments, anything you'd like to share with the broader world, please by all means go ahead and use that hashtag now or after the presentation as well. We are offering 1 CP for this webinar today, and that's based on active participation during the live presentation. Active participation means responding to all 3 poll questions during the webinar, completing the survey that will pop up at the end of the webinar. That pops up after the webinar window is closed. And if you don't see it, don't worry, we'll send you a link to that survey by email afterwards as well. And number 3, you need to be logged into the event for a minimum of 50 minutes. We'll be processing and emailing these CPE certificates end of this week or early part of next week after we determine everyone's eligibility. A brief word about our sponsor today, AccountantsWorld. You can go to AccountantSWorld.com to learn a lot more about us. We just launched a new website a couple of days ago. The critical point about AccountantSWorld is we only develop accountant-centric cloud-based solutions for professional accountants. We value the critical role that accountants play in core business services, including accounting and payroll. And that's why since 2000, we've used the power of the cloud to raise the relevance of practicing accountants. As I mentioned, AccountantSWorld solutions are sold exclusively to professionals like you, and our solutions are designed to help you revamp your accounting and payroll practices so you can better serve your clients, add more value to their businesses, and elevate your own practice as well. We'll be showing later on, but if you'd like to learn more about us or get a demo of our solutions, you can visit AccountantSWorld.com. All right, so at this point, Sharon, I'll go ahead and go to the About the Presenter slide. So this was written by Chandra Bhansali in the first person here, but if we're going to identify the most important thing about Dr. Chandra Bhansali, it would be this, that for the past 30 years, his passion has been to find innovative ways for accountants to benefit from emerging technologies and to remain relevant in their profession. And that passion has led to the introduction of a number of innovative cloud-based solutions for accountants. They were developed with the help of a highly talented technology team led by AccountantsWorld's co-founder, Chandra Bhansali. And we'll get a glimpse of some of these innovations as we go through the presentation. Also, Chandra is the CEO of AccountantsWorld, has a PhD in engineering from the University of Buffalo, and has been named to the top 100 most influential list by Accounting Today over 10 times. All right, Sharon, we'll go to About AccountantsWorld. So I mentioned briefly about AccountantsWorld before. Chandra always says accounting is a noble profession, and our role is to value what you play in accounting as a core business service just as much as you do. So obviously, for you to best serve your clients, you need to have full control over your accounting practice. But what we found is that surprisingly, most solution providers bypass accountants and actually offer accounting systems and payroll services directly to accountants' clients. And we couldn't understand why a company that values the important role that you play in these core services would do that. We believe that that weakens the control that accountants have over accounting and payroll. And we believe that that's a lose-lose for you and your clients. So AccountantsWorld decided to use the power of the cloud to give accountants stronger control over those core services. Our sole focus is to help you to do what's best for you and your clients. And we never sell our solutions directly to clients, only to professional accountants. So what you'll learn in today's presentation, well, the topic of discussion today is don't just be an advisor, be relevant. So the first question that comes to mind is, what's the difference between being an advisor and being relevant? And there are a couple of major differences between those two, and we'll discuss those in the next couple of slides. Then we'll talk about what you need to do to be truly relevant to your clients. And hopefully during that process, you'll discover some things about relevance and about your own practice that might surprise you. Finally, we'll illustrate some simple and practical ways to make your practice more relevant to the needs of your small business clients. So what does it mean to be an advisor? Well, advisors identify issues or tasks in general before they become a problem, and they share that opinion or insight with the appropriate stakeholders. They raise their concern in an adequate way and help to address work items in order to clear out the threat of not engaging in this particular activity. Advisors usually decide on their own how much of their time they're going to invest in those activities based on the severity of the issues. So if you're a practicing accountant, clients come to you with all sorts of questions. They might ask, when should I draw Social Security benefits? Can I claim my mother-in-law that lives with us as a dependent? I'm falling behind in accounts payable. What should I do about that? Should I form an S Corp or an LLC? And so on. Advising on all of those issues means that you're acting as an advisor to your clients. So when we think about what you need to become a good advisor, three things in particular stand out. Number one, obviously subject matter knowledge is very important. Without that, you can't give any advice. Number two, typically most of the questions that clients are going to come to you with require some sort of analysis. Well, that's your forte, right? So clearly looking at these first two checkboxes, those are things that accountants clearly bring to the table. And third, you need to be able to draw rational conclusions based on those facts and figures. Again, that's your expertise. That's what you've been trained to do and have a great deal of experience in doing. So based on that checklist, you can see why clients would consider you, the professional accountant, to be their most trusted advisor. It's because you carry most of the traits that are needed to be a good advisor. When we look at this list, the most important thing that strikes out is that most of the advisor's activities are outward facing, which means you tell clients what he or she should do. So as we'll see on the next couple of slides, being relevant builds upon being an advisor but then adds an additional dimension to it. So let's talk about the key elements of relevancy. What does it mean to be relevant? Well, the Oxford English Dictionary defines relevance as, quote unquote, the state of being closely connected or appropriate to the matter in hand. And that's a little too complicated and abstract. So let's examine a better definition for our purposes. So here it is. Let's define relevance as being relevant is your ability and commitment to do what's good for your clients. Pretty simple, right? So if you can commit yourself to doing what's good for your clients, then you're relevant. That requires you to ask yourself a really important question, which is, what can we do within our firm so that we can externally do what's good for our clients? So here, you're focusing on acquiring the abilities needed to prepare your firm to do what's good for your clients. You can see that the key activities related to being relevant are actually inward-facing rather than outward-facing. Certainly, you need to know what's good for your clients, and you need to be able to identify that. But once you do identify it, you have to start working on those capabilities within your firm to make it happen. So here's an example. If you were to get all of your clients in a room and ask them, those of you who love doing accounting and bookkeeping work in your office, please raise your hands. How many hands do you think would go up? Maybe 0, maybe 1, right? Certainly not many. You and I both know that most clients consider accounting to be a major headache and something that distracts them from focusing on their core businesses. So if you can take that burden off of their shoulders so they don't have to do that anymore, you'll be doing what's good for your clients. You'll be more relevant to their needs. So in this case, if you're not currently offering full service client accounting services to your clients, then you need to find ways so that your firm can offer those outsourced accounting services profitably to your clients. We want to make sure it's a win-win for both your clients and your firm as well. To become relevant first, you have to identify the client's need, and we'll discuss how to do that more shortly. Then the most important step is you have to mold your firm to be able to satisfy those needs. So again, the key activities for making your firm more relevant are inward-facing, which is in contrast to being an advisor, where most activities are outward-facing towards your clients. And we think that that's the major difference between being an advisor and being relevant. One last thing to remember about relevancy is that it has a context. You have to ask yourself, relevant to what? And so the focus of our presentation today is being relevant to the needs of your small business clients that don't necessarily have the resources of larger companies. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about what you need to be relevant. So number one, instilling the culture of relevancy within your entire firm. So again, we're starting with an inward focus here. And what we're saying here is you have to get the message out repeatedly to the entire firm that your firm is going to be committed to finding new ways to do more of what's good for your clients. Everyone should be asking themselves on a regular basis, what can I do that makes it easy for the firm to do what's good for our clients? Right? So this isn't a one-time exercise. You don't suddenly say we've crossed the Rubicon and we've instilled a culture of relevancy in our firm. It's something that has to be practiced on an ongoing, regular basis. This just becomes part of your practices culture here. You have to also encourage your staff to find new ways of doing all things. And it really requires your support and encouragement to your staff to explore new software, to explore new tools, and to find ways to improve the processes within your firm. Not every part of instilling this in your firm is technological. In fact, you could argue that the basic premise behind this is not about technology, it's about culture and about communication. But technology and tools then build upon that. So we want everyone in the firm to be asking themselves, where are we missing our ability to do what's best for our clients? So let's go ahead and open up the first poll question at this time, Sharon.
Okay, the poll should be open. To be honest with you, I can't see it because I'm presenting. Can you read the poll question?
Sure, let me open it up here. Okay, the first poll question is for accounting our firm primarily uses, and you have a choice there of professional or client-centric software or both, or you can say not applicable because I'm not in public accounting. So please go ahead and select whichever option matches your firm's current systems the most.
And as a reminder, if you're attending for CPE, answering polls is required to qualify for CPE. We'll have 3 polls during this webinar. And we're approaching about a minute. We've got about 90% of the people who have voted. Your last chance. Going once. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and I'll share those results.
Okay.
So it looks like we have, and again, Viv, I apologize, I can't see the responses entirely.
Let's see, I can't either.
Right.
So I'll see if Tom, if you can tell us what the responses are, that would be great.
Absolutely. So for accounting, our firm primarily uses, and 33% said systems used by our clients and a professional system, and 26% said accounting systems used by our clients, and 24% said they used just a professional system.
Great. All right, that's great. So Sharon, if you want to go ahead and close that poll question. So those are really interesting results. They're pretty close to what I expected. I figured there would be a pretty even split between those options there. So that's consistent with what we've heard. We've talked to thousands of accountants, and this is consistent with our experience there. It probably leans even a little bit more towards the hybrid approach than what we've heard in the past. So that's very interesting, and I think that is going to bring us perfectly to this next slide about leading your clients instead of being led by them. Sharon, do you have that slide up in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So now, when we say you must lead your clients, not be led by them, I'm sure many of you are sitting there saying, yes, obviously. Thanks for mentioning the obvious there. Now, I think most of us think, well, yeah, we lead our clients and aren't led by them. And that very well might be the case. But I would say that from our years of experience of working with and talking to thousands of accountants very closely, the story that we've uncovered is probably a little bit more complicated than that. So before we go into the details, here's a really simple question that hopefully will clarify what I mean. Have you ever gone to a physician with an over-the-counter drug and demanded that they treat you with that drug? Of course not. That doesn't happen. But if a client comes to you with a piece of software and asks you to do his accounting with that piece of software, what do? Chances are, at most firms, you'll still gladly take them. The reality is that clients exert significant and, in our opinion, undue influence on how most accountants run their practices. So here's another example. Let's say that you found an accounting system that you believe would serve your clients much better than the current program you're using. And you think that it would also greatly streamline your practice, which would then allow you to raise your profit significantly. And suppose that the learning curve for that solution would be minimal, both for you and for your clients as well. Sounds like a win-win, right? So if I ask you, would you be able to migrate most of your clients to that new system? Maybe your answer is a resounding yes. And if so, then you should feel proud of yourself because you already have the ability to lead your clients and you're demonstrating that. But third-party research has shown that most accountants don't feel that they would be able to convince their clients to adapt new software and would therefore miss the opportunity to revamp their practice and help their clients more. The irony here is that the reason most clients started using cloud-based accounting systems was because some of their clients were already using cloud solutions. So the clients actually led the way. They kind of forced accountants to start using the cloud solutions that they were using. That's another example of accountants being led by clients. So what happens to the accountants who lead their clients? Well, we asked accountants who had successfully upgraded to our accountant-centric solution, Accounting Power. And when we asked them how they were able to convince their clients to move to Accounting Power, virtually all of them had the same answer, which was, when we recommend something to our clients, most of them usually go along with our recommendations. They trust our judgment. The most important thing that these clients did was that they told their clients firmly, we're moving to a new cloud-based platform that's going to improve our practice and allow us to better serve you, the client. Accountants leading clients. Now, right communication was clearly another important part of that strategy. They explained all of the benefits that the clients would get first. They explained how this would reduce the burden of accounting for their clients, how it would help their firm be able to better monitor the client's cash flow and business performance. And then they very clearly explained to their clients what they were going to be doing and how their firm would take care of virtually everything involved in migration and transition, and there would be very little learning curve for the clients. For clients who had a good reason for staying with their current system, for specialized functionality or industry-specific needs, these firms were glad to accommodate those clients. They recognized that that was part of being able to do business with them. But after all that effort, there was still a small percentage of clients who insisted on staying with their program for no good rational reason. And what we found out when we talked to these accountants who had been successful is they didn't hesitate to let those clients go. Within a year, almost uniformly, those accountants saw a significant improvement in their practice. Client satisfaction went up and the firm's profits rose as well. You can go to our website and look on our case studies for some examples of exactly what we're talking about here. So the key message here is if you want to be relevant, you have to firmly lead your client instead of being led by them. So moving to the next slide, nurturing strong client relationships. So in order to do this, we have to earn our clients' professional respect. And this ties back to what we just discussed. Unless you've created strong client relationships and won your client's professional respect, they're not going to listen to you. But assuming that your clients genuinely trust you and respect your professional judgment, then you'll be able to move clients away from their comfort zone and help them to do what's best for both themselves and for you as well. Another thing you're going to need is to communicate with your clients at their level. You're going to need to explain the benefits in simple terms, give metaphors, give examples that they can relate to. And one of the things that we recommend is whatever professional solution you choose that is accountant-centric, show them the value that you're going to be able to provide. Show them how you're going to be able to better monitor their cash flow and KPIs. That visuals really go a long way in terms of solidifying the benefits they're going to see there. So next slide, critically analyze what's good for your clients. This is one of the most important parts of being relevant, and it's also a very hard one. If you don't know what's good for your clients, you can't do what's good for them. The key point here is you can't just ask your clients what's best for them. Clients, by definition, are not accountants, and therefore they have a limited understanding of what they need. Their perception of their needs is limited by their exposure to their environment. So the classic quote from Henry Ford, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right? And the reason is the only personal transportation that people were using before the Model T popularized car technology was horses. So people didn't have any imagination of what this miraculous new car technology could do for them. Similar example, before the iPad was unveiled, hardly anyone in the public thought that they needed it, right? We couldn't imagine what something like that could do for us. And now if you look at the sales volumes of iPad, clearly we figured that out after the fact. So whatever your accounting clients think they need is based upon their experience, which is with do-it-yourself systems that they're currently using. They don't realize that by using the right, more advanced cloud solutions, you can eliminate the need for them to do any accounting in their offices at all. So without them knowing that, they wouldn't know to ask you to do all their accounting work for them, including bill payments, even if they hate doing accounting work in their offices. Most clients would love for you to take care of monitoring their cash flows and telling them about key performance indicators, but they won't ask you for it because from their past experience, they don't know that you can do that for them. They don't realize how things have changed and how newer solutions and tools can allow you to do all of those things right from your own office. Another major problem is that most clients don't even really understand the broad purpose of using accounting as a management tool. Many clients don't realize that accounting information used effectively can reduce the chances for bankruptcies, can minimize cash flow problems, can prevent many other problems before they happen, and can increase their company's profits. Many clients still think that they have to have accounting done because financials are needed for preparing tax returns. But of course, you know it's much more than that. And so it's up to you to expand your clients' horizons and explain to them the broad scope of accounting and how much it can do to improve their businesses. So because of the limitations of your client's knowledge, you have to use your own knowledge and skills and imagination to fill in the blanks, to go beyond what's available in the past, and figure out the possibilities in today's environment. So next slide. So expanding your horizons. How much you can do for your clients depends upon your own knowledge of what's possible today that wasn't possible yesterday. So technology, particularly the latest cloud technology, has made many more things possible that weren't possible in the past. And so to give you an example, many users of our professional payroll system, Payroll Relief, which was created exclusively for accountants and professionals, many are processing around 200 payrolls with just one staff member. And that would have been unimaginable before cloud-based professional payroll systems. The only reason they're able to achieve that is because through their extensive research, they learned about better solutions that are available at this point. If they hadn't known about Payroll Relief and other solutions like that, they wouldn't have been able to make payroll processing that profitable. So if you want to be relevant, you're going to need to explore all possible solutions available today besides the mainstream products that you may be currently using. Things like Receipt Bank, Bill.com, Expensify, Cloud Cabinet, Avalara, Swipe Clock, HubDoc, Power Practice System, just to name a few. If you look at all of these solutions, you're going to be amazed by how much the cloud has completely transformed the way that you can perform client engagements. And then based on your research, you can then choose the solutions which are the best fit for your practice and your client's needs. The demands of each practice are going to be different, so you're going to need to choose solutions that best serve your clients with the least amount of effort. And so in order to figure out what's best, and in addition to your own unique requirements based on your firm, there's one other thing that you're going to need to look for. Next slide, please. You're going to need to look for solutions that allow you to exercise stronger control over your services. Quick story here to demonstrate this. A long time ago, there was a war between two countries. The army of one country had defeated the other country. So some soldiers from the winning country found the elephant of the defeated king and brought it over to their emperor. That emperor had never seen an elephant, so he asked his soldiers, "What is this thing?" And they replied, "It's an elephant. You can ride it." And the emperor looked around and said, "Where are the reins?" And the soldiers said, "Well, elephants don't have reins like a horse does." So hearing that, the emperor said, "I don't ride anything, the reins of which I don't control." So if we look back at where professional software or software that accountants use has typically been in the past, in the desktop era, you had to run your practice without the reins being in your hands. It was partly in the hands of the software that was sold directly to your clients and partly in the hands of your clients themselves. You had no control over what your clients did. And that led to a symptom that I think many of us can relate to, which is you spend hundreds of hours fixing the bookkeeping messes that your clients make. There's nothing that you could really do about it. That model weakened your control over accounting. If you want to be truly relevant, you have to have full control over your client engagements. So let's analyze what kind of solution can give you that control. And as we've seen, it can't be a solution which is sold directly to your clients. So if we're looking for a solution that actually gives you full control over client accounting, here are some of the hallmarks of what that would do. Next slide, please. So we're really talking about a new class of professional cloud solutions. One's designed specifically for the needs of professional accountants. They can't be sold directly to your clients because then we're again in a client-centric mode where clients can proactively do whatever they want to, and then you're left reacting to that. So that's a basic requirement right there. Now you may have come across systems that claim to have two versions, one for accountants and one for small businesses, which are sold directly to your clients. But again, anytime a system is sold directly to your clients, you're still losing significant control. So many of you mentioned that you use hybrid solutions or use multiple solutions, right? You're still coming down to the lowest common denominator when we talk about you having control over your services there. Accountant-centric solutions are complete in every respect. And because they're built for professionals from the ground up, their capabilities typically far exceed those of other accounting systems, whether we're talking about desktop or cloud. And we'll show a diagram shortly that helps to explain that. So with accountant-centric solutions, because they're only sold to you, you do the initial setup properly. And as you know, that's the basis for good accounting practices. Next, you sit down with each of your clients and you configure the system to best meet their specific needs. And this is done at the client level. That's a very important aspect of these systems. The power of that capability we'll see in just a couple of slides here. One last reason for using these systems. They have industrial strength capabilities to streamline your workflows. With these systems, you can easily manage a large, busy accounting practice much more efficiently than you can right now. So we're going to give a practical illustration of how these solutions can help you to become more relevant to the needs of your small business clients. But in the meantime, Sharon, if you could please launch poll question number 2.
Okay.
All
Poll
right.
should be up.
And
the question is,
if you've got the question, please go ahead.
Yeah, I can see this one. The answer is a little bit shorter. Our firm offers client accounting services or bookkeeping for how many clients? More than 20, 1 to 19? You don't offer those services, or it's not applicable because you're not in public accounting.
All right.
This is our second poll question. So if you're looking for CPE, you will need to choose one of those answers. We'll give just a few more seconds here. And I think we're just about, everybody voted here. We're going to close this out and share the results, Div.
Okay.
And we're seeing an almost even mix of 1 to 19 to more than 20 clients. So we've got people who are really doing a lot of client accounting services and bookkeeping. A few people aren't offering it, and people are not in public accounting. So
Great.
it's about 40% each. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you. So that's great. So we've got some smaller practices here, at least in terms of client accounting work, and then we've got practices who are doing 20 plus as well. And I think what we're about to talk about and demo is applicable to both sides, I think, especially for those of you who are already at 20 or more. And I think for some of you who are under 20, what you'll see is that with the efficiency and capabilities we're about to demo, you may be able to bring more clients on board, including those who didn't make sense for your practice in the past. So Sharon, I'm on the slide. What can you do with an accountant-centric accounting system?
I'm right with you.
Okay, great. So the most important thing here is we're looking to best serve all of your accounting clients, not just some of them. This is not a piecemeal solution where this is going to work better for some of your clients, but it's actually going to make things worse for other clients. You need to be able to best serve all of your accounting clients. What we find is typically clients fall into one of 3 categories. And from your experience, you'll know which percentage are in each of these categories. Chances are a significant percentage of your small business clients consider any sort of accounting activities in their offices to be a nuisance. And if you're not sure if that's true right now, you can ask your clients and find out how large a percentage that is. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to see how big a percentage that is. So given the choice, many of them would like to offload all of their accounting work to your firm as long as it doesn't increase their costs, right? And what's interesting is that in talking to end clients, we found that some would even accept modest increases in cost because you're still taking a major burden off of their shoulders. Category number 2, you have clients who don't mind having their accounting or bookkeeping staff do some accounting work in their offices. And then third, no matter how much technology advances, there will always be some clients like pizzerias, laundromats, delis, etc., who are going to continue to write manual checks. So we're going to show an example of how an accountant-centric professional accounting solution will let you service your clients with all these diverse needs and preferences effortlessly and let you raise your bottom line in each of those categories. The main thrust is that if you want to make the most of the migration to the cloud, you have to think differently. right? We can't expect to achieve exceptional results from a new technology if you're confining yourself to the old ways of doing things. So I'm going to talk briefly about outsourced CFO services. Outsourced CFO means helping your clients to better manage their cash flow and their business finances. So this means being on top of your clients' financial situations, being able to, on a regular basis at the beginning of your day from your desktop in your office or anywhere else, being able to monitor cash flow, being able to monitor KPIs, and perhaps most importantly and strategically, identify potential problems before they happen and recommend ways to fix them. And this is really critical because this is what really puts you in a much greater position of relevance to your clients. If you're coming to them with potential issues before they even realize their issues, what could be more relevant than that, right? What could demonstrate relevancy better than that? So let's discuss an example of a solution which can help achieve these goals. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and bring in Dave Monell to talk a little bit about what the model of an accountant-centric cloud solution really looks like.
Okay, this is Dave. First, can we share my screen?
Dave, absolutely. I'm giving you presentation controls and you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I got to get to the... Okay, so this is the configuration of Accounting Power, which is an accountant-centric system. If you'll look closely and carefully, you'll find that it uses a completely different model than virtually all other cloud-based accounting programs. You see that it has a professional system, a bookkeeping system, all rolled up into one. And this can be used for CAS, and it can also be used as for outsourced CFO. So let me get started. I don't have much time, but there's a lot of good things I want to show. First of all, I want to show how an accountant-centric program with well thought out processes can make it easy to offer some of the services your clients want and need. So first, for those clients who don't want to do accounting, here's a walkthrough of how you could offer a bill payment process and service to them. So the way it works, first the client takes a snapshot of an invoice when they're out at one of their vendors or an invoice comes into them. It can be done from any smartphone. The invoice then is saved automatically into Accounting Power. When your staff logs in to pay invoices, all the uploaded invoices are displayed. The staff enters them and then with a single mouse click sends the entered invoices to the client for approval. The client approves the invoices to be paid. The approved invoices are paid by the staff, and this is done with a digital check payment. And these bill payment services can be highly profitable. Our research shows they can be billed out at $5 per bill or more. So let me go into the steps that are involved. It's a very streamlined workflow and it takes you through the whole thing. Now you notice on this screen, you can see all of your clients in one location, which makes it easy to manage your practice. Now under bills unprocessed, I see that Whitehorse Sales has 3 unprocessed bills. I'm wondering what are they? All I do is I click on it and it would automatically bring up the bills that need to be processed. And these are the ones that your clients would have uploaded into the system. So now I know that Whitehorse Sales needs to have bills processed. So I just click on Whitehorse Sales. It'll take me right into that screen. I'll see that there's 3 unprocessed bills here that need to be done. You click on them. The 3 that were entered will be there. You simply click on the one you want to do. It'll automatically bring in the vendor name, automatically bring in the right expense account. You view the invoice right there. You can enter the information from the invoice, and that invoice is always saved. So a year from now, 2 years from now, when you want to find out where did that information come from, it's no more looking in the files. It's right there, saved in the program. So once the bills have been processed, the next step is to get them approved for payment. So now you notice on this screen, it went from 3 down to 2, and the bills to be approved went from 8 up to 9. So now there's bills that need to be approved by your clients. Very simple to get it done. You can do it selectively for one client or for all your clients. So I would select to email them. The client receives an email. It's very easy for the client to approve it. He can be on his smartphone, on his computer. He gets an email, simply clicks on the link. The link opens up a listing of all the bills that need to be approved. And the client simply clicks on the ones he wants to approve and says what day he wants to do it. So now the next step, you see that bills to be approved is 0 and bills to be paid now has gone up. So the final step in this workflow would be to simply pay the bills. But paying bills is much easier than it used to be with writing out checks and stuffing them into envelopes and things of that nature. Now it's very easy to pay with digital checks. So all you do is you come here, you can tag all the ones you want to pay. You simply click on digital checks and they go out in emails to the vendors of your client. The vendor receives an email. He doesn't have to go to the bank. He doesn't have to do anything to receive the payment. Simply clicks on deposit online and it's done for him. So what I'm hoping that you got from this is just how easy it is to do and also how a good process will lead you right through the steps. Bank feeds. I think a lot of you probably use bank feeds. Bank feeds are where you get information from a bank, your client's bank, and it automatically gets uploaded into your system. And most bank feeds, they do kind of work the same. In this case, I brought in information. It found 59 transactions. We match up vendors according to the names in the bank statement and according to the names you have for the vendors. It's very easy to add new vendors because occasionally it'll be a new one, or if a name isn't exactly the same, you can change the name so it'll recognize it the next time. And that's pretty good, pretty straightforward. But a system that takes advantage of modern technologies can offer more. And in this case, when the information gets imported, not only did all the transactions get imported, you can also view a check image. Many times a client may have written a check, you don't really know what it's for. Then you would have to get in touch with them, call them or something, and try to figure out what it was. With the accounting power, the check image is automatically attached. All you do is you click on the one where you see that it just has check, it didn't match to any vendor, click on view image, and it pops up. And in my case, I made a little pretend check here. It's easy to see. Scanner, it'd be easy for me now to code it as computer supplies for that client. That saves a lot of time and a lot of effort and running down from your clients. The same basic thing can also be done with bank statements. A bank statement can be attached. So it's always there later on for you to go back and see the information. Just simply by clicking on preview, it'll bring it up. Touched on permissions and collaboration. The important thing about permissions, this is for the clients who do want to do some work. You can assign exactly what you feel your clients can do, want to do, and should be doing. So maybe you have a client and really all you want them to do is to write checks. You can just give them those permissions. You keep them out of places such as maybe adding chart of accounts that they have no clue what they are. You keep them out of places they don't belong. You cut down on errors. Others maybe want to do invoices and pay bills, and you're able to assign it. And you can assign any variety from very little to a lot of rights. Although there's always a few rights left aside for you as the accountant that you need to have. Once you get finished and the work is done for the client, next step is maybe how hard is it to get the information to the client and also to save information for yourself? So a good system taking care of modern technology and the cloud makes it easy to access these. And what Accounting Power does is you can set up a closed period set and a closed year set and determine exactly what you want to go there. When you close a period, close a year, it's automatically saved. Client Snapshot. This is something that will enable you as a virtual CFO to be able to watch over all your clients. Once again, it's kind of like that other screen. You can see all your clients in one place. This particular one, you also have the ability to just see the clients with alerts, so it can make it easier for you to find the people who need attention. So you can have with alerts or without. In this case, the ones that are in red means an alert was triggered. You could get right on the phone with 3J Software and you say, you know, I see your accounts receivable are getting kind of high. So it'd be very easy for you to be on top of that client's business, and your client will feel very good knowing how you are on top of what's going on with them, or maybe if their cash balance was low or something. The client dashboard is a complement to the snapshot. This gives you a lot more information about a particular client. Nice graphs for net profit. You can give rights to your clients to only see the dashboard and do nothing else. That way they can be on top of their financials, but actually stay out of making any errors. Or maybe you want to see why are receivables so high or something. You can actually see a list of all the clients, how old the invoices were, what the amount on the invoice is, and you could get right granular and discuss this with your clients. Alerts and ratios. These are two more factors that you can really use to be in a virtual CFO type position with your clients. You can set, as I showed before, the alerts, like when the accounts receivable is above 400,000, it gets triggered. This is client specific. One client, 400,000, may be a very high accounts receivable, where for another client, maybe $1 million is normal, or maybe some other client only 20,000 is normal. So you can set it on a per client basis. You can also set up for alerts based upon ratios. Gross profit margin or a current ratio falls outside of a range, you can be alerted to it. This is an example also where you can see the financial ratios right on the screen. You can see year to date, prior year, and industry standard. So in this case, you see, well, prior year, your current ratio was 8.64. It's going down. And why is it going down? It's actually still seems to be a pretty good current ratio, but the idea is you can see the trend, you can react instantly for your clients and be right on top of it. And now I'm going to give the control back to Divya. Thank you very much.
Right. All right, thank you. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I'm going to see actually if I can now take control back. I just made a change here, so we're going to see if this works. Okay, so are you seeing my screen by any chance?
We are seeing your screen for outsourced CFO tools ratios.
Okay, great. So we're actually going to go ahead and do the third poll question at this time, and then I'll do a quick recap here. So Sharon, if you could load that up.
Okay, it's on the screen. How important is it for a firm to offer client accounting services or outsourced accounting services to be more relevant? It's very important, somewhat important, or not important. And Dave, while they are voting, we did have a couple questions coming through. We had, let me scroll back through to find these here. How easy is it to import information from QuickBooks to AccountantsWorld?
Dave, do you want to talk about that one?
I'll talk real quick. We have in our program imports to bring information directly from QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online, Peachtree, and then just a generic version. And it's pretty easy to import. I guess that's.
And I see one other question that came in, which was, are there other solutions that fall into this category besides accounting power? So I'll be totally honest here. My answer would be, I don't think there's another solution that is accountant centric and built in the cloud from the ground up to maximize the capabilities of the cloud in the same way that accounting power has. However, I think if you look at Thomson Reuters and CCH, they could choose to do so. They've got sort of the professional heavy-duty functionality available in there, but so far they are still embracing more of a hybrid approach. They're embracing an approach that still allows it to be client-led in situations where the clients choose to do so. And so from our perspective, a lot of the functionality is there, but if you don't allow accountants to be in control from the beginning, involved in setup, determining the needs of each client, and then factoring that into the technology, I think you're talking about something completely different. So, so that's the distinction that I would sort of draw there. I think many of the other popular mainstream solutions that are out there clearly do not fall into that category and are client-centric. So I think that's sort of the couple of dividing lines there. So we've got the third poll question closed out here. And so we see 2/3 said very important, about 30% said somewhat important. So that's great to hear. I think we are, speaking a similar language there in terms of the importance of offering a broader range of accounting services to your firm as well. Sharon, are you seeing the recap slide here?
You are on the recap slide. We're good to go.
Great. So a really quick recap here. True relevance builds on your existing advisory role. So it is not separate from advisory work. We don't want you to stop considering yourself an advisor. We want you to build on top of that. And being truly relevant requires a broader focus. We have to now mesh our typical external focus towards our clients' businesses with also an internal focus on what can we do within our firm to better serve our clients' needs, including needs that they may not even anticipate on their own. It requires you to lead your staff, both in terms of culture and communication, as well as technology and processes. And it requires you to lead your clients as well. And I think whether we're talking about accounting technology or more broadly, the concept of you lead your clients rather than the other way around, I think has applications in many, many different areas of how we think about our firms. Third point, you'll need tools that deliver the control back to you, the professional accountant. And I think some of the capabilities that Dave showed simply are not possible either with client-centric solutions or hybrid solutions where clients get to choose their approach. And finally, the last point I'll leave you with here is to expand your horizons, to expand your way of thinking about your practice and about the tools that you use to maximize the value that you provide to your clients and to your firm as well. I want to thank you for joining us today. I apologize again for some of the technology problems we had earlier today, but we were able to work through it just fine. Our next expert webinar, we have a total of 16 expert webinars this year. This is our kickoff event today. If you have not signed up for the full series yet, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and do so. We have a past chairman of the AICPA. We have 11 other members of the Accounting Today Top 100 Most Influential list. And next week, we have Jay Abraham, who is a business and marketing guru. He has helped over 5,000 businesses around the world. He's going to be speaking on 10 proven paths to exponential growth for your firm. That'll be on Wednesday, May 9th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we're starting a half an hour later than we started today. You can go ahead and register for all 15 of the expert webinars at once. Just go to 2018webinars.com, 2018webinars.com, and you can go ahead and sign up for all of them at once. You'll receive a reminder for each of them. And if you're not able to attend a couple of them, don't worry about it. We'll send you a recording afterwards. Also, if you'd like to get a personalized live demo of AccountantsWorld solutions, including those for client accounting and payroll, visit AccountantsWorld.com. Call us at 888-999-1366. And if you have any questions about this presentation today and you'd like to talk to Chandra about specifics of it, he wasn't able to join us by voice today, but he'd be happy to email with you, and you can reach him at cbhansali@AccountantsWorld.com. So once again, thank you for joining us today. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes. If you have any other questions, you can type those in on the questions tab. And otherwise, Have a great rest of the day. When you close out of the webinar window, you will see a post-webinar survey. Please go ahead and fill that out to make sure that you receive CPE. Thanks, and we'll see you in a week.